और आइए अब हम सीधा रुख कर लेते हैं। आपको बता दें केंद्रीय मंत्री जितेंद्र सिंह BioE3 का 1 वर्ष पूरा होने पर एक प्रेस वार्ता कर रहे हैं। आइए
Many of us belong to the times when nobody could understand what was biotechnology. So half the people thought it was a branch of engineering, the other thought they were a branch of medicine. So it was very difficult to figure out at that time whether it was an engineer's concern or a doctor's concern. And now we have also seen those times when if any youngster did a course or a B.Tech in biophysics, he or she would be at a loss to find a job in India. So most of these graduates had to find a job outside India. And in the engineering streams also it was the least preferred choice. And only those who could not find any other stream would opt for this. But there's been such a tremendous change. Only 3 years back we had a small survey conducted among class 12 children, class 12 pass-outs, and it was discovered that biotechnology has suddenly emerged as third or fourth choice amongst them. And this happens only when they find a lucrative livelihood potential or a placement potential, which has started happening. So nothing can sustain without getting linked with the economy, and that started happening. Now, even in the last 1 year, if you see, we have had a first of its kind biomanufacturing institute at Mohali. Dr. Parik is there, and I owe another visit also to you. And we also launched the DBT Bairag Mulankar bio-enablers. Then the BioAI hubs have been launched. The BioE cells have been sought to be created in each of the states. Assam and Gujarat were among the first. And we were also among the first to have signed a formal MOU between the Department of Biotechnology and Department of Space. Because as Professor Sood was mentioning, most of these experiments conducted by Shubhashu on board the Axiom were created and developed by the Department of Biotechnology. And in fact, these were the experiments which were actually meant to be conducted by a biotechnologist, but we couldn't have sent him up the space. So someday we might. So I said we should have, because in fact, I was telling Subhashu also, I said what you did was in fact a biotechnologist's job, but I must appreciate you that you proved to be a good learner and did it with quite a big perfection. But next time when one of you goes up, we'll be trying to train a biotechnologist to do that. And also, we may also have a space physician, like sports medicine was hardly a preferred branch about 3 decades ago. And it was rather would be a butt of joke, but now they are among the most heavily paid, highly paid professionals. So we have very futuristically moved in that direction. And I'm glad that it is also because of the futuristic approach of the Prime Minister that we could get this policy passed, because normally the political dispensations are not very favorably inclined to this heavily scientifically loaded cabinet notes. And Rajesh had to make a series of presentations that the Honorable Prime Minister himself then explained to his colleagues that, look, at today it might not sound very relevant, but tomorrow, of course, because that's precisely we try to submit before him, that tomorrow we would at least be counted among the early birds or the early initiators amongst the countries, because virtually every area is going to be biotechnology driven. As Professor Sood was saying, the personalized prescriptions are very soon. 2 patients suffering from same disease may have a different prescription depending on their genetic profile, their environment, milieu. So 2 persons of diabetics, similar by all parameters, clinical and biochemical, would have a separate prescription. So it's going to be a very fascinating times to come. Similarly, the prosthesis, as he was mentioning, we might have more acceptability of these processes, because one of the problems that was happening with many of the transplants was that the person has to be given immunosuppressive drugs for a long time to make it more acceptable. But in the process, some other dormant diseases waken up, and the person who's getting treated for a kidney transplant or post-treatment for kidney transplant suddenly finds that new malignancy has arisen. So all these things would be very fascinating. And of course, not only that, even the food world. We've already started animal-free milk. One of the startups from Bangalore is doing very well. They've even started exporting it. Because when the world requirement goes on increasing and you have less and less of land to actually fend for all these cattle and animals. This will be very handy. And tomorrow, maybe as Reddy has arranged a refreshment for you after this, he might arrange a vegetarian mutton for you or a vegetarian chicken for you, because it started already happening. So maybe your palliative taste, my buds may take some time to get used to it. So this is going to be a very fascinating time, and in fact everything is going to be driven. It's not being easily realized, but we are going to have it in every sphere of life, in plants, in animals, in life sciences. What Shubhashu experimented over there about biogenesis is not something which is relevant only to this space. Of course, there they sit for 2-3 weeks, the muscles get wasted, but it happens even amongst us. Of course, in diseases like type 2 diabetes mellitus or cancers, etc., it's already known, but even in common fractures, if you have a fracture of the lower limb and you're asked to confine to bed for 4 weeks, your muscles get suffered from disuse atrophy, and then you are asked to go in for physiotherapy. So the strategies which are being experimented over there are also relevant to us on the earth. And as I said, on the day when he came, what was tested would not be relevant or useful only for the 140 crore Indians, but for the rest of the world as well. And therefore, I think those experiments which were facilitated by the Department of Biotechnology at the International Space Station, I think are one of the earliest indicators of Vishwa Bandhu Bharat.